Senator from West Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my colleague from Oklahoma, Senator Langford, for his dedication to this issue, his very substantive input. I was privileged to serve on the sort of mini group that put a lot of work into this under Senator Scott's very able leadership. And I want to thank the way that Senator Langford always approaches issues, not disparaging motives, but always looking at ways to improve and make this world a better place, because that's what this is about. I've been listening to a lot of the arguments, a lot of the discussion, and I'm saying to myself, if I'm, somebody watching this from afar, from Oklahoma or from West Virginia or Vermont, I'm thinking to myself, what is all this talk about 60 votes and cloture and all this? They're not focused on that. All they know is we failed. This failed. And this was an opportunity that we should have grasped. We had a chance to discuss the need for police reform and to look at the very, very serious issues of racial inequalities. And I am exceedingly, exceedingly disappointed. I thought yesterday, actually Monday, I thought, good. Signals were, we're going to get on this bill. We're going to have a healthy debate with amendments. We're going to be in front of the American people, giving our different opinions, and we're going to vote up and down, and we're going to actually have a product here that's actually going to help. It's going to help. But it derailed. It derailed badly, and I'm very disappointed by that, as I think everybody in this country should be. Those who are protesting, those who are deeply hurt by what they've seen, they don't care about cloture and 60 votes and who gets the political point and who's going to be able to drag this to the election. They care about getting something done on a deeply, deeply emotional issue. So we know that every American is entitled to equal protection under the law. We also know there's a lot of good police officers in this country, many, the vast majority. And it's clear, though, that we have a real need to improve our law enforcement so that every American can have the confidence that officers are there to serve them equally. We should provide better resources to train police on not just de-escalation, but use of force, intervention. All of the issues that we see really came forward in the horrifying death of George Floyd. We should provide more body cameras. We wouldn't have known about George Floyd had there not been a camera. Now, I don't believe it was a camera on the officer. It was a bystander camera. But cameras can be so incredibly useful to protect the rights of the people that are confronted and to protect the rights of the police. So we need to make sure that those not only are provided and there for our law enforcement, but that they're turned on, because we saw in Louisville they weren't turned on. We should make sure that bad police officers can't get passed from department to department, and that their disciplinary actions and their records, employment records, are there, kept either locally, or the Pelosi bill says kept at the state, or the president says kept in the federal. Anyway, in any event, kept for the transparency that we need. And we should eliminate the use of chokeholds by officers unless the officer is in a situation where he can't get out of it, but quite frankly, I'm for banning them in any circumstance. Those statements are really not very controversial, and most Americans really agree with them. And how do we know that? Well, because both the bill introduced by Senator Scott and co-sponsored by 47 Republican senators, and the bill introduced by Senator Booker and supported by many Democrats included these provisions in each one of their bills. Now, we have a nonpartisan Congressional Research Service that we rely on for nonpartisan advice. The quotes from their report in comparing both bills, quote, "Both bills seek to establish best practices for law enforcement officers and train officers in areas on the use of force and racial bias." Both bills. Both bills would seek to increase the use of body cameras worn by state and local law enforcement. Both bills. Both bills would contain provisions designed to enhance transparency concerning records of misconduct by law enforcement officers. Both bills. Both bills include provisions designed to limit the use of chokeholds by federal, state, and local law enforcement, though the two statutes do differ in the breadth and approach. What happens when we differ in the House? We go to conference and we work out our differences, but we're not having that chance today. given these areas of common ground, it should have been easy for us to come together and to pass that motion to begin the debate on the Senate floor. That's what we're supposed to do. There are major differences, a few major differences in the bill, and this is where I think the American people would have really tuned in to the debate. We know that there's a difference on qualified immunity. Let's have the debate. Let's have the debate. Had we moved forward, I think we could have ended up with a bipartisan bill that could pass both the House and the Senate and signed into law. But as we are now, you know what we've got? As Senator Scott said in his speech he gave about an hour ago, nothing. We have nothing. We have people on the streets of every town in America begging us to do something positive to help the situation. And today, crickets, nothing, because we couldn't get cooperation. It would have made significant progress. I heard Senator Scott say, and I didn't realize this till I heard him say it on the Senate floor, 20 amendments and a manager's amendment he offered in conversations with the other side. And again, nope, nothing. We don't want that. We could have shown the American people, which is, you know, we don't have the best record on showing the American people that we can work together and get things done, but boy, we could have shown them that today. We could have shown them that in the rest of the week as we debate these issues. And I can guarantee you on some of the sticky issues, we'd have had great agreement. Maybe we all wouldn't have agreed on it, but some of us from each parts of our parties and each parts of our country would have agreed on those issues and formulated better, smarter, more efficient legislation. We could have demonstrated that we are united in support of the civil rights of all Americans, in support of the men and women in law enforcement, and instead, partisanship was allowed to carry the day. It should be clear, because I think it should be to the American people, that this motion that the other side says we don't have a seat at the table would have provided the world stage for their seat at the table to debate this issue. You know, we need 60 votes to continue, and here I am talking about the technicalities of how to get it done. But there would have been an enormous amendment process that probably would have been quite lengthy and very, very, I think, beneficial. So I am really disappointed. I'm disappointed to tell the American people that we're listening to you, but, you know, maybe it's not in our own political benefit to cooperate, to move forward. So let's just draw it out, as Senator Lankford said. So I think it is important to point out in the process, if we'd had an amendment debate, if we'd had a debate on the Senate floor, if we'd cultivated and came up with a final product, it's still within the right, within the 60-vote margin, for the other side to say, no, can't do it, it's not enough, can't go there. Okay, at least we tried. Now, we've got nothing. So as we move forward, I've done several radio interviews today, and a lot of people want to know what's next. I don't know what's next, but we got to do better than this. We've got to do better by what we see happening across our country and listening to the cries. And when I heard Senator Scott's speech, when he talks to the communities that are the most vulnerable, that have the most difficulties in all the struggles of their lives, we owe it to them to have this debate on the floor of the greatest deliberative body, the United States Senate. So we could have demonstrated a lot today, and it didn't work. It was denied by 44 senators, and here we are having to go back to our constituents, go back to those folks who are very vulnerable, to say, it didn't matter enough to try to fix it. It didn't matter enough that we gave you, that we gave each other 20 amendments. It didn't matter enough that we were going to have the debate on the Senate floor. It didn't matter enough that we were going to have our experts come in and tell us what's the best. It didn't matter enough. And so I hope maybe as time goes by, it will matter, because this issue is not going away. And our passion to solve it as a collective body shouldn't go away. And I'm committed to seeing that it doesn't go away. Thank you.